1.2 kilometres of tarmac that has been made famous by the legends that have raced here for more than 50 years.
Real motor racing on a real circuit, doing what they do best.
Tomorrow, it's all about 12 hours of peak concentration. And to be there at the end, you need it all to go right. Speed, precision, teamwork, and of course, endurance. But today, it's all about the flying lap. The 10 fastest cars will compete for pole position in the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout.
Hear the tyres squealing as he comes through.
Who has what it takes? Who has the speed to get it right for just one lap? Welcome to the 2017 Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12-hour Pirelli Top 10 Shootout from Mount Panorama. The Australian state of New South Wales is our host this weekend. From Sydney, we are about a 3-hour drive west to Bathurst, magnificent country town, and what a proud tradition this town has in motor racing. Mount Panorama, it gives you goosebumps to drive through the city and see that on the side of the mountain. What a great spot. Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Mark Beretta, along with the international voice of endurance racing, John Hindhoff. Great to have you here with us once again. John, this race has really cemented itself on the international calendar.
Oh, has it ever? And in 5 years that I've been here, it's catapulted itself to the very top of every driver's wish list. Trust me, Mark, when I travel the world, the first thing they ask about is, how can I get a drive at Bathurst? And one driver who's done that this year, Ollie Jarvis, last year he was sitting at home tweeting to us about this race. This year, he's in a Bentley.
Fantastic. Now, something new, we're having the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout. This is a bit of a game changer.
Very unusual in endurance racing to bring it down to just one lap. Not 12 hours, 120 seconds. It's a little bit of a different mindset for the drivers here. They've got to lay it all out on the line and leave nothing out there on the circuit except a clean car.
Now, we had qualifying a little bit earlier on. John, just take us through the highlights from qualifying.
Man, it was just fantastic. We split the guys up so that the fastest cars got a run on its own. Big shocker? Nah, not at all. People spinning. We had the young Ricky Collard going around at the top of the mountain. He got a little bit of a touch there from the Audi. Everybody pushing as hard as they could to get the tyres up to temperature and to get in to the Top 10 Shootout. The BMWs have been a bit of a sleeper this week, but they came good in the final qualifying session. Such a close call at the top of the mountain. Al Buncan with Timo Glock, bit dawdling in the middle of the road. That Nissan's already been rebuilt once. They nearly had to do it all over again. Now, what about the 60 car? Well, that's been quick, and it's come good at exactly the right time. 2 BMWs in the top 3, but at the very top of the timing, it's the single Ferrari that's here this weekend from Maranello Motorsports, and of course it's the Alan Simonson Trophy that is up for grabs next in the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout. That would be an emotional one for those guys in that team.
Yeah, very much so. Now, qualifying was fantastic. It's just a sign of things to come in the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout. Let's have a look at the results.
That's how they got through into the final, into the Top 10 Shootout. So the Velander Lowndes cars will go last. Now, from 11 on down, those positions, Mark, are locked in. Nothing else for those guys to do but sit back and enjoy with us the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout. And that means the pole sitters for the other categories have also been locked in. Because remember, it's not just about those GT3 cars. It's all about mixed category racing, GT4s in the C class, the Invitation class, and the Porsche Cup class as well.
So these top 10 spots to sort out. You ready for this?
Do you know what? I'm not sure I am. I think I'm more nervous than the drivers.
It's going to be fantastic. Hey, let's see what's happening up and down pit lane. Here's Shay Adam.
The story of pit lane isn't so much who made the Pirelli Shootout, but those who didn't. We've got some really big names. The J. McPem Audis both failed to make it in, including Chris Mee, the race winner, 2 times over. We also have the Bentley of Guy Smith, overall winner of Le Mans in 2003, failed to make it in. Both of the factory Nissan GTRs came up short after having crashes in practices. Those drivers, Florian Strauss and Chio-san, race winners in 2015. We will not be seeing any Lamborghinis or Mercedes-Benz in this session, despite the best efforts of Shane van Gisbergen, who won this race 12 months ago. But enough about who isn't in this session. Chad Nyland's up the pit lane a bit further, with the team looking for their first pole position since 2012, when the man whose name is on the trophy delivered.
Well, the Ferrari of Jamie Whincup, Craig Lowndes and Tony Villander was the quickest in qualifying and therefore will go out last in the shootout. But Jamie, you boys are putting the flying fin out there for the shootout. How'd you make that decision?
Well, it wasn't my decision, obviously the team's decision, but Tony's doing a great job. He's got massive experience with these cars. I've got about 20 laps. It's a very, very different scenario for me in this car compared to what I'm used to in the supercar. But all in all, having a good time, learning as much as I can off Tony and also Lowndesy. He's done quite a few laps in this thing. But yeah, I'm quite comfortable in the car as well. So it's all, hey, while it's good to be fast, it's all about being there on Sunday afternoon.
Well, between Jamie and Craig, I think they might have a few tips for Tony Villander going into this one.
It's an amazing weekend here. 160 drivers from all over the world. They represent 17 countries. We've got 15 different manufacturers, and we've narrowed it down to the top 10 to fight out for their places on the grid tomorrow. It is a classic New South Wales summer's day. It is warm. It's about to get very, very hot when we come back with the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout.
Once in a blue moon, drying her tears. Once in a blue moon, she feels safe and strong. Once in a blue moon, that's groove on.
So coming up then, 10 spots. We know the cars, we have the starting drivers. We'll go through them for you in a little while. A quick thought from both of my co-commentators. Krillsy, what do you reckon? We haven't seen this before. We've seen it before here, but not in these cars.
Yeah, hard to look against the Ferrari, isn't it? That thing's been electric all weekend long, and Villander's driving it absolutely sublimely. But the drivers with top 10 experience will be ones to watch in this. The drivers that have done it in the supercar, they know how to extract the maximum out of one lap. But it really is a massively level playing field. There are guys that have done it in a supercar but not in a GT, guys that have raced GTs but not done a shootout. It's a great mixture.
Going last, is that a benefit, Graham, or could it be actually standing against them because it's very hot? I've just come out the pit lane. It's super hot down there.
Well, it depends how they can manage these warmed tyres, doesn't it? We've had a few dramas in the lead up to the session. There will be a change for people sitting trackside and those listening on radio that the 59 will not be in the shootout. That was a miscall. That car didn't take part in the second qualifying session, therefore will not be out in the shootout. But the number one McLaren will, but that team have been running against the tide to fix a radiator cooling system problem for the car. But I gather that car will be ready to go, will be first out indeed in that reverse order with Alvaro Parent at the wheel.
If you had to pick any of these guys to race for your life, Krillsy, it's a pretty decent list of guys when you look down through there. With, I mean, the one you've got to pick out there is Mark Campbell, who's the young guy. Huge amount of responsibility being put on his shoulders for the Porsche Competition Motorsports team.
Yeah, it is, but he's good at this. He was third here last year in the McLaren, so he knows how to do one great lap at Mount Panorama, and he's got time in Carrera Cup. And he raced the Supercar Enduros last October with Nissan Motorsport. So he understands the pressure. And if it's one thing that Matt Campbell does well, it's soak that in. It's just what he does. He is a very switched-on young man.
Now, Alvaro Parent is already at the end of the pit lane. So the preheated Pirellis have gone on. He's sitting there being patiently, I bet not, told to hang on a bit. This must be killing him at the moment, Graham, because what he wants to do is get out there.
Yeah, it must be. It's really tense time. It's a one-shot deal here as well. So, you know, any tiny error is going to be the tense that it requires to be for anywhere from the 1st to 10th. But it's top drivers all the way up and down this field of 10 cars, John.
So the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout is coming up live in sound and vision around the world from live trackside at Mount Panorama. The 2017 Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 Hours. We're going back to our network TV colleagues and we'll be live all over Australia on 7 Sport and 7 Mate in just a few moments' time. So stay with us. This is something you'll get used to as we go through the race tomorrow as well. And remember, it's a 5:30 on air for us and a 5:45 start local time. So you're going to have to get your coffee supply sorted out for then.
We're in beautiful Bathurst, New South Wales, an iconic location, Mount Panorama, for an iconic race, the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12-hour race. And of course, right now it's time to get things underway. The Pirelli Top 10 Shootout. Away we go. The McLaren is on the track. Let's go up and join John and the boys.
Thanks, Barretts. Appreciate that. Fantastic day for it. Very hot, as you mentioned. And an interesting hour or so coming up as 10 of the best go against the 6.2k circuit that is Mount Panorama and tackle the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout. This is an extraordinary place. We all know it so well and we love it. We're in country New South Wales, a couple of hours over the Blue Mountains from the capital city of Sydney. And there it is, 23 turns, 6.213 kilometres long. One of the best bits of bitumen anywhere in the world. Top speed for a GT3 car is just over 280 kilometres an hour. The average lap speed is 185 over the whole lap. And the elevation change from the very bottom of the circuit to the top is 175 metres. Over the course of the shootout, we'll refer to the timing intermediates. There are 3 sectors. The first ends at Reed Park, the second at the Elbow, and the third is that long straight down Conrod Straight towards Maguire's Turn. Graham Goodwin and John Hindhoff join me in the commentary box to call this. Here is how they run in reverse order from where they qualified early on today, which means a McLaren is on the circuit first. We work through the ranks with 7 different brands represented, and the Ferrari will be the last out. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Looking forward to this.
Very much so. You described that beautifully, Krelsey. This is one of the temples of motorsport, and the worshippers have come in their droves to watch this Top 10 Shootout, a first for this event, and I think it's going to become a favourite part of this meeting as this thing goes forward.
I like what you've said there, because there is an element of a pilgrimage about this week. Now, this car earlier on in the day had a bit of an overheating issue. They were working hard on the radiators. And frankly, Graham, the temperatures have gone up since then.
They have. Actually saw McLaren GT Managing Director Andrew Cocotti working very hard with the team to actually get this fixed. There's further dramas to the team's other car. We'll deal with that tomorrow morning as when we see what comes out for it. But Alvaro Parent, the reigning Pirelli World Challenge champion, knows these tyres well, knows the McLaren GT well, but he's about to go on one of the most important laps of his life, Krelsey.
And you might go, well, hang on, they're racing for 12 hours tomorrow. Is qualifying that important? It is, as he starts his lap. The winner of this race has come from within the top 3, 5 of the last 6 years, and has never started lower than 7th place. This is important. You need to get yourself clear of the opening lap dramas with a 55-car field barrelling up the hill in the dark, the pre-dawn on Sunday morning.
Yeah, and any little problems that happen, you don't want to be in the midst of the field, you want to be in the front 4. We've seen people's races end before it's begun here, and before we've even got to daylight. Through Griffin's Bend and heading up to one of the iconic parts of an iconic circuit, up to the Audi cutting. And it's all uphill from here.
We apologise if we use that word iconic a lot.
Well, I need to find another word.
He's a great driver, Alvaro Parent, 32 years of age from Portugal, defending champion of this race, as are the Techno Autosport McLaren team. That's why they've got number 1 on the windshield and the side of that car, and he's already tripped the first timing intermediate across the top of Mount Panorama. He's the 2005 British Formula 3 champion. He worked his way up through the ranks. He won races in GP2. Big moment at McPhillamy Park. Dropped the wheel off on corner exit, pushing hard. And as we said, this is important. This means something. And at the end of it is the Alan Simonson Pole Position Award.
This is a man who has plenty of GT experience. Worked his way through the British GT Championship, and he is hanging on there. Nasty little rise just as you come into the Bentley elbow there, and you've got to get the car straight, unless, of course, you're Alvaro Parent and you have reflexes that can be timed in the picoseconds. Now he gets a little breath just for a moment as he gathers himself up. It should be absolutely foot to the boards through there. Send it to me. Neat and tidy, gentlemen, but is it quick enough?
It's pretty wild, that middle sector across the top. The splits are pretty good from where they were at qualifying. Maybe a high 2-minute 02. The qualifying record is a 2-minute 1.29 set last year in cooler conditions. Here goes the Portuguese driver in the McLaren, the first driver to set a time. It's a 2:03.9.
It's not good enough.
Ragged across the top. I doubt that will be pole.
Doubt so, but the temperature has gone up. We don't know yet how that's going to affect the rest of the cars. We do know that higher temperatures will probably affect the turbocharged cars a little more.
Of which the McLaren is one.
Absolutely.
He was a bit ragged. It's very, very tight up there. Those curbs shouldn't really be coming into play, and you can see the side of the car actually grazing the ground as the lock is put in. And I'm not sure that McLaren was handling exactly the way the driver wanted it to there.
For those unfamiliar with GT3, McPhillamy Park is a 5th gear, 220 km/h corner, and it's flat. They do not lift. This is Maguire's turn, Murray's corner.
Just a bit wide here, Krillsy.
Bit of oversteer.
I'll take that. I'm not sure he lost anything there, but he was a little bit ragged over the top. It's his cool-down lap now. Gives us a chance to go down to the pit lane and say good afternoon to chat.
Good afternoon, John. I'm down here with Com Ledigar, who'll be driving that car. A huge effort from Alvaro Perez on that lap. He was trying.
Yeah, that was quite a good lap, as we know that the track is really hot, so the lap time will not be as fast as in the morning, so quite happy for the moment. We'll start top 10, so that's quite good. Anyway.
Just an update on the 59, the sister car, guys. A lot of work still going on here. This crashed earlier in the day in qualifying. People from Gibson Freight are here to try and fly down some of the rear assembly for this car. There is a huge question mark whether or not this car, which will be driven by Will Davison, will even start tomorrow.
It didn't look a big shunt. It was square on, almost a glancing blow coming out the Caltex chase. And it was reversed into the pit lane and then driven back. But man, there's some damage at the rear suspension legs there.
Yeah, Nathan Antunes coming around to start his fastest lap, but they are flying the one replacement part they have in country from Tony Quinn's place up on the Gold Coast. So that's a feat of logistics before the feat of engineering to come. But here we go for flying lap number 2.
This is a really good story against perhaps the odds of the 7 Audi R8 LMSs that are in this race. This is not perhaps one of the most fancy cars to be competing on an outright level. GT Motorsport, it's run by Audi Customer Sport Racing Australia and the Melbourne Performance Centre team, but they're punching above their weight. They're in the amateur division of the GT class, but Nathan Antunes will be in for a good lap, Barretts.
It's a warm one at the mountain. Official ambient temperature here, 32 degrees Celsius. The track is 45 degrees Celsius.
Ouch. Ouch. If you are a Pirelli tyre, you are sort of even pulling yourself up trying to stay off the track at the moment. GT3 cars do have some driver edge, bit of traction control, bit of anti-lock braking, and it is very, very advanced technology. That means that all these drivers will be able to get right up to the pointy bit of the corner, the apex, and what's called trail braking. You use your left foot to balance the car, and in the heavy braking areas in particular here, you can make up a huge amount of time. You've got to be brave on the top, but you've got to be late on the brakes into the big stopping areas.
This is the part of the circuit that Audi is the strongest. It's always been quick across the top of the mountain, loses out as it comes down a really quick bit. Towards the end of the lap, Krillsy.
Nathan's a really good young guy out of Sydney, 28 years of age, but actually spent a lot of his junior days in Europe racing in Formula Renault and Formula 3 over there in Great Britain and on the continent as well, with a bit of success. Ultimately came back to Australia and he's been racing in Australian GT. His middle sector was very, very good, but overall he's down on that lap time set by Alvaro Perez.
Bearing out exactly what Graham said, the Audi likes the twisty bits at the top. It has traditionally done that, taking a little bit extra track as he goes to off the track on the left-hand side before swinging right at the Caltex chase. He's having a good go at it, but he's having to work a little bit too hard as he comes under the Liqui-Moly Bridge and down towards Maguire's. The final left-hander, tricky braking downhill here. Turned in maybe a tad early. I'll bet he'll go wide here. Yeah, he does. Doesn't kick up any dust, though. And the time is 2:04. It's a lot of work for a 2:04. A lot of work for a 2:04.
Just a half a second off, though. It's settled upon these small differences.
We share this car with Greg Taylor, who's the car owner, who's had some success in the Australian GT Trophy, the third tier of Aussie GT racing in Australia. But Antunes and Elliot Barber, who's a good friend of his, will drive this car this weekend, and they'll be proud just to get into the top 10. Very cool livery on the Audi R8 LMS, mid-mount V10. These cars have been amongst the most successful in GT racing anywhere around the world. How's the compression across the top at McPhillamy?
I wasn't expecting to see that. I really wasn't. Shit, Adam.
Greg Taylor, the only Audi to make it into qualifying. What did you think of Nathan's lap?
Yeah, look, it was clean, you know, like we're in the top 10, that's what we wanted to do. You know, the goal was just to go out there, do a clean lap, keep the car in one piece. As we know, we've got 12 hours tomorrow.
Well, no matter what, it'll be a good starting position, so good luck.
Yeah, thank you, cheers.
Yeah, they're all saying that. We're in the top 10. Once you've had your goal and you look at the time and think it might be beaten, then it's all right just to be in the top 10. Ask the guys who've yet to go what they want, and they want to be at the very, very sharp end.
Now this car, third out on track, number 35, Hideki Stone, Motorsport Aston Martin V12 Vantage GT3. This one, for me, a real dark horse. Did not expect to see this car anywhere close to where it finished in the second session of qualifying, guys, but they've been consistently up at the sharp end through the week.
It's a very well-balanced car, Graham, not in its first flush of youth, but that means that the teams and the manufacturer know how to set this car up. It's got a V12 engine at the front, but it's pushed a long way back, so the balance is pretty good. This is a car you can turn in using the brakes to rotate, as the drivers tell you, and get the back end to come around. So you brake really, really late and hard, and then feather the brake off and get back on the throttle across the line to start the lap.
Sorry, I just got distracted by a V12. Isn't it a great thing to hear? Takes you back the touring car days, the V12 Jags in Group A racing at Mount Panorama. There is a history of this type of engine. Ash Walsh driving the car now, who'll share it with George Miedeke and Tony Bates. Tony Bates racing in Porsche Carrera Cup. George has raced a heap of different cars, really talented guy. And Ash Walsh, a regular enduro pilot in the Supercars Championship, was 7th here last October with Tim Slade, who's also in this field in a McLaren in the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. He's got the job in the Aston Martin. He spent last year racing Porsches, so he knows GT cars, completely different driving style from the Cup car to a V12 engine.
Got a bit of wheel spin there coming through the Audi cutting, but short shifted. That means he changed gear earlier than he really needed to. These cars all change on the paddles, but you've got to be flat out to get a good gear change. You don't lift off the throttle, you stay absolutely flat.
And he is the quickest in the first section, these first three cars. That, though, is where this car is strong. We heard about the Audi a little while ago, quick across the mountain. We're about to see how quick an Aston Martin with that V12 power, 6 litres of V12 power up front, how quick that car is against the ones we've seen before.
Looks neat and tidy, really neat and tidy. Will get late on the brakes here, takes the wide line into the Bentley elbow, and now the V12 gets its head on the loud pedal, changing up. Now this time you hold the gears until you get all the lights on, then you pull the gear, and a millisecond later the next gear is engaged for you on the paddle shift system.
And the young man from Ipswich in Queensland, 29, is Ash Walsh. He's got a huge amount of experience, and he's up by a 1/10.5 on the best lap so far set by Alvaro Parent in the McLaren. So really solid, neat and tidy laps, and we see that so many times. It's often the tidy laps that don't look fast that really are.
But you can't lose your concentration here, Krillsy. It's easy to think, oh, the hard bit's behind me now, I've only got a couple of corners, and then you run deep into the final corner and you throw it all away. It's good, he's on the curb, he's across the line, the checkered flag is out, and he goes to the top of the times, a 2:03.823. Now, will that be enough to keep him there? It's going to be hard to beat that as it gets hotter, but we've got some very good cars and drivers still to come here in the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout.
Hey, George Miedeke, you can't ask Ash Walsh for much more than that. That was a great lap.
Yeah, that was a neat little lap, wasn't it? He's really good at pushing across the top. He used every single inch, and you know what? That's what we pay him for, so good on him.
The boys might have underestimated your car and your performance this weekend.
Yeah, well, we all thought, we all wanted to say, you know, yeah, we're here. This is the Aston Martin. It's a 6-litre V12. How badly can we do? But look, we put a lot of effort into it. We've got our engineers here from ProDrive and from Dad and Matt Stone have put so much effort into getting this car going. And look, it's what we expected, to be honest. And to be in the shootout was really ticking a box for us.
You've done well. Good stuff, mate.
Thank you.
3 cars down, there's 7 to go. There's a Le Mans winning Kiwi up next, a couple of BMWs and a Bentley. Right back to Bathurst with more of the shootout.
That's really interesting to see the Aston pulling out that great run from Ashley Walsh. It is a good balance, that car, it really is. And surprisingly user-friendly. And I speak from what I know, because I know you know this, Graham. I'm not sure Krillsy does, but I have driven this car for half a dozen laps or so out in Spain. And
you've never mentioned it.
Well, the amazing thing for me was how easy it was to get on with, and it's a confidence-inspiring car, and I think that's important in a place like this.
Absolutely. What they've got as well with that car is a lot of setup data that came with it, because that's the X-Craft Bamboo car that has already competed here and competed right at the sharp end of the Bathurst 12 Hours some years ago. You did actually once mention the drive of the Aston Martin, but I think you got away with it, John. Now,
a little bit of chat going on down in the lane. Oh, it looks pretty good-natured as Earl Bamber is in the number 911 Porsche 911
on his outlap.
This is the GT3R, the latest version. Now, Porsche call everything a GT3, so the bit that's important about this is the R. There's the R, the RS, and the RSR.
I think they should have a new one called the Old Blimey.
The RSRR. So this is the GT3 spec Porsche GT3.
A proper rear-engine Porsche, this one.
It is indeed. The engine is at the back. The gearbox is underneath and in front of it. Now, this car is actually pretty well made for the mountain, because what it does do is punches out of the medium and slow speed corners, as well of, if not better than, I am told by those who have driven both, therefore the Porsche factory drivers, than the new RSR, which is the GT Le Mans, the GTE car. Now, Earl Bamber developed that car. He's had a hand in developing this. This will be his only GT outing this year, because he is being loaned from the GT program again to the hybrid program, and the hybrid program don't want to be too worn out. They like their guys to be nice and fresh.
Absolutely, and he was certainly looking forward to his season to come. He's looking forward to this as well. And he's coming round now to start his quick lap. One shot, remember?
Across the line. Lines it up nicely. And the first corner, the Virgin Australia turn 1. That's a lovely run through there. Now heading up the hill. Back at the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout here at Bathurst. We're live from trackside. Mark Webber watching on as a Porsche ambassador, as the Kiwi Earl Bamber. Now, a man who is driving the car that Mark Webber has just vacated, the 919 hybrid in races like Le Mans. This is Earl's only GT outing this year, and he's trying to make the most of it now.
Terrific young Kiwis from the North Island, Wanganui, not far from Auckland. He won a Le Mans 24-hour a couple of years ago, Porsche Super Cup champion, a little bit of racing in Australia in his junior career as well. But this car has been hooked up since it unloaded out of the container, and the tractor from Walkinshaw Racing down in Melbourne. It's been fast. He shares it with Lawrence Vantor and Kevin Estray this weekend. Really good powerhouse international combination. The lap's been solid down in the first split. We're about to get the second as they power through the Bentley Forest Elbow and onto Conrod Straight. And it's solid. He's up by 600. Good middle sector from Earl Bamber.
Now, where this car is going to make its time in this last part of the lap here, gentlemen, is under braking and punching out of the medium and slow speed corners. Now, there's a very fast corner coming up, and this is a relatively well-balanced car. He's flat through there, but braking here, accelerating, balancing, and then the run down the hill and out of the final corner. That's where this rear-engine Porsche has an advantage, particularly when the track is hot and slick, exactly as it is now.
203.82 to beat. That's the benchmark from Ash Walsh in the Aston Martin. Clean, neat, tidy lap, except for the final corner for Bamber, and it just misses out. 204.06, and it's not even good enough to get him provisionally on the front row of the four cars that have run. That puts him third. He missed out by 0.2 of a second from going fastest.
Really, really tight at the top, the 4 cars that have gone so far, and none of them, guys, have been that tidy through the final turn.
Well, also picking up a bit of understeer on the super slow-mo there. Here's the final corner. He got into it okay, maybe just a tad early on the throttle, drops the right-hand side Pirellis onto the dirt, and hot Pirellis and dry dirt do not great grip make.
They do not, nor does a track with track temperatures reaching 50 degrees. You can see how much the cars are sliding around compared to a practice session we saw early on this morning at about 8 o'clock. They were very grippy and very, very fast. Today, when it's hotter, they're moving around a lot.
Well, Lawrence, you know how to get on pole here. Earl not quite doing it. What would you have done differently?
I have no idea. I fully trust Earl, and I'm sure he did his very best he could with everything he got. Now to see where we are in the end. This is great. It's a great show, but it's a 12-hour race. So if we start first or 10th, will not change our course, I think.
Good luck during the race.
Thank you.
On the track now, one of the fan favourites. There's a pair of Bentleys here this weekend, run by M Sport. Malcolm Wilson, former Works Ford rally driver, and weekends ago they took the Monte Carlo rally win with their new Ford Fiesta rally car, WRC car. There was a degree of celebration, and that brings momentum even into this different programme. Brian Gush is here, the man who runs Bentley Racing, and the guys who are at the very top of Bentley, the decision makers, launching the diesel Bentayga here, their new luxury premium SUV, and using the Mount Panorama circuit and this event, the 2017 Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 Hours, as a platform for that.
The driver behind the wheel of this incredible car is a 33-year-old from Belgium. His name is Maxime Soulet, and he's been here for the last 2 years with the Bentley Motorsport outfit and qualified the very same car in 7th position last year. So they've got priors at Mount Panorama Bentley. They were third place in the race last year, having just missed out on the podium the year before. His first sector is 5 tenths down on the fastest so far, which is Ash Walsh in that Aston Martin. So solid lap here for the Bentley, but this guy, very experienced, championship-winning driver in his native Belgium, and been in this program for a couple of years.
Spoke to all the Bentley drivers just before the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout for the Alan Simonson Trophy, and they're delighted that this car is there because it does give them a better, first 5 rows of the grid at absolute worst, but they know they've got to be there at the end of the race, and presumably this year with a Bentley without tank tape, without tie wraps, and not having had a sledgehammer used on it. That's not really very Bentley the way that they ran the race last year, and they know they've got to be clean this year, and that is what they're concentrating on.
He's going to be quick down this downhill section though, because he's down in the first 2 sections on the provisional pole-setting lap. There might not be an air show here, but you do get the sounds of a low-flying World War II fighter when you get this thing coming by. It is a massive fan favourite, and it's perfectly suited to Maxime Soulet's talents. He's coming around now to beat the match.
4-litre twin-turbo V8, which is an absolute work of genius. It's available in the road cars as well with the cylinder cut technology. They don't use that here. They want all the power. Not a bad final sector, Creels. He's pulled it back.
Well, this is looking really good for the Meadowbank Stone Motorsport team, though, because they're getting big net gain so far from where they qualified initially. They've already improved 3 spots, could get even better. Ash Walsh's 2:03.8 looking really good. Check the margins though, 2 tenths of a second, covering 4 cars from 4 different manufacturers in this shootout. Tony Bates and Ash Walsh from the Aston Martin team watching on. Good lap from the young Belgian driver. He found about 4 tenths across the top of the mountain. This might be why. McPhillamy Park, flat out, grip limited, scraping along the tarmac. Incredible stuff to watch.
Andy Soucek and the boys down here at Bentley were watching that lap. Maxime Soulet absolutely out there on the limit. This whole idea of top 10 shootouts, it's a bit different for European drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, but we used to do that in Spa-Francorchamps in the 24 hours, and Maxime is a very good qualifier. Every time he has to do one flying lap, he's always on it, and you could see on the TV he was close to the walls, but he did a very good job, so we're going to start probably in the top 6, which is where we wanted.
Bentley have been close the last couple of years. Could this be the year for Bentley?
It's a 12-hour race around Mount Panorama. I mean, predicting something at this stage is too early, but we hope to be fighting for the win.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, the fighting needs to come towards the end of the race, not at the beginning, where they cost themselves some time in previous years. Team O'Clock is next up for BMW Team SRM. Great colour scheme on the big M6. Team O'Clock, a little bit of a naughty boy in the final sector, was dawdling around, final session, dawdling around and almost caught Al Buntham out in the 23 Nissan.
This is an incredible driver combination. If you haven't followed the news in the lead up to the race, Team O'Clock, who's got 91 Formula 1 starts to his credit through 4 teams, including Jordan, has as his teammates Mark Scaife, Russell Ingall and Tony Longhurst, all 3 of them Bathurst 1000 winners. It's an extraordinary powerhouse combination and one of 2 of the BMW Team SRM cars in this top 10 shootout.
And BMW have been quite smart about this. I don't think they've shown all of their cards yet. Brand new event at the back end of last year was Challenge Mount Panorama. 330 cars came here, including some BMWs, and BMW stayed on for a couple of days and got some sneaky early practice with this relatively new and brand new to the mountain M6 GT3 car. Are we seeing the efforts and the fruits of their labour coming to pass here?
I think so. They've been really promising, haven't they? Mark Scaife's been hugely involved in putting this program together. Glock down on the first split, by the way. In fact, he's reunited some of his Holden Racing Team engineers. Dave Svensson and Richie Holloway are engineering this program this weekend. They worked with him during the Bathurst winning days for the Holden Racing Team. Glock finding time across the top of Mount Panorama. The margin just a tenth of a second. If he can maintain that, he'll slot into second place. Needs to find a little bit in the final sector.
But what we have seen throughout the weekend, they've been a bit of a surprise package despite that preparation. It has been massively quick down the final stretch of this lap. So what was down by a tenth or two could end up the other way. We'll know in just a few seconds' time as the number 7 car comes back down to the tricky final turn here. To come through that cleanly, we could get a new provisional pole sitter, guys.
Front end almost on the ground as he hammers the middle pedal, comes across the line. The checkered flag is out. We're leaning forward. Everyone else is leaning forward, but...
Fifth.
204, 288.
I'm a bit surprised at that, but there's 2 more bullets in the BMW gun.
And Ash Walsh's lap keeps getting better and better.
I tell you.
Impressive.
Steve, you thought that might have been a little bit better?
Well, he made a mistake at turn 1, and he said it straight over the radio, so he was cranky with himself about that. So he lost 7 tenths straight up, but very long day. Brett's 12 hours.
At least in the top 5 on the grid. That's good.
Absolutely, very good.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, and again, people looking on the bright side. We've still got Porsche, 2 BMWs, and the fastest car this week so far, the Ferrari of Tony Vilander to come. Well, I am surprised, gentlemen, that BMW wasn't just a bit quicker in the hands of Timur Glock. He looked like he was very settled in terms of his performance in that last session that we saw, and just good. The problem is, Krills, you make a mistake at Virgin Australia corner, turn 1, and you know you're not going to get a second go. That's why it's a single lap shootout.
Yeah, exactly right. You have to work so hard over 6 and a bit kilometres to drag that time back when you've lost it all in one corner. Still, neat lap. Not a bad job for Timo Glock, his first shootout here at Mount Panorama. And that's the scene over the paddock campgrounds. If you think that's full, you should check out the top. It's unbelievably busy up there with campers that have been here since Monday, which is just extraordinary.
Well, Graham was talking about it being, you know, a cathedral, people coming to work. I said a pilgrimage. People are coming earlier and earlier in the week here. And talking to 1 or 2 of the hostelries, obviously called in to them purely for scientific purposes to find out what was going on in the town of Bathurst, and clear to me that the fans are coming earlier. A lot of people, when we turned up as late as I think we can see it, as Wednesday when the campgrounds opened officially, already absolutely aware of what was going on and said they'd seen a few fans already in the week. So good on you for all of the pre-promotion. Had a chat with the deputy mayor and the mayor earlier on, and this race is not going away, and they are aware of how important this race is and how different, Graham, it is to the crowd that comes here for the thousands.
Absolutely, it's becoming another very special part of the Australian and the world motorsport calendar. This has made its mark on the world map, as you've been saying throughout the week, and you're absolutely right. Barely, never an interview goes by with anybody involved in GT racing without questions being asked about how they can actually manage to get onto this grid. And well, there's 1 or 2 that have certainly managed that. Matt Campbell, I think this is one of the coming men in GT racing, not just in Australia, but across the globe. This is going to be a very special career indeed for young Matt Campbell. He's got a few markers down this weekend, Cozy.
Ash Walsh, really impressive lap time.
No worse than 5th now.
Exactly right, correct. And they were 8th into this, so they've made up 3 spots already over 1 lap. Really impressive stuff. Terrific. 208.3, 6 tenths of a second, covering the 6 cars that have lapped so far in this Pirelli shootout. Very, very close, very competitive between, well, 6 different manufacturers as well. And we're about to see the second Porsche with Matt Campbell behind the wheel.
Heading down at the moment, making sure you've got heat in the tyres. It seems odd to say that with the temperatures as hot as they are. Back at the mountain for the top 10 shootout. Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 hours, and the Pirelli Top 10 for the first time that we've seen these single lap, single car efforts around the hallowed ground of Mount Panorama. Ashley Walsh at the moment holds the provisional pole position, and he will be no worse than 5th with 4 to go. And here's the first of the repeat manufacturers. It's the second Porsche.
It shows how highly young Matt Campbell is rated amongst his peers, that in a car that includes the current World Endurance Champion Mark Lieb and US sports car expert Patrick Long and car owner David Calvert-Jones, he was the one nominated to take in the Pirelli Shootout. This guy is a prodigy, the 21-year-old from Warwick. He will race the Porsche Super Cup this year, having won the Porsche Scholarship and the Porsche Carrera Cup Australia Championship to take him overseas. Incredibly highly rated driver. He now gets Bathurst all to himself.
I would suspect that in his future is a Porsche Junior driver contract. And why is that important? Well, that's where people like Earl Bamber came from, where Timo Bernhard came from, another world champion and Le Mans winner. You name the big Porsche drivers down the last couple of decades, and they've been a Porsche Junior driver, and Matt Campbell could be on his way to that kind of career.
And what all these drivers are looking for is places they can put their marker in a career. Where can you make your reputation? Well, here, right now, over the next 2 minutes, is exactly where Matt Campbell can do that.
And part of the reason this kid is so good, you can see behind the wheel, he's Barry White smooth, isn't he? Smooth on the throttle application, smooth on the brake, gentle on the steering, and just extracts the maximum from these cars.
And when you consider how much you are getting thrown around in that car, just how gentle he is and how little movement there is. He's not sawing at the rail, he's not bouncing around. It's an economy of movement and an economy of effort that is getting the best out of this Porsche, this venerable Porsche. But a new car for this year, and a car that is already proving itself in international competition. Can the young man prove himself here as well?
He was 3rd here last year driving the Objective Racing McLaren. He's since, of course, now a factory Porsche driver, so he's racing the right brand this year as he goes down to the final corner. It's been a solid lap, down on the 2 splits, but only by a few tenths. He will have needed to make up some time down Conrod, but he will have been under orders to bring it back nice and straight. It's a solid lap for Matt Campbell. It's a 204.36. It puts him 6th of the runners so far. So just bumps Nathan Antunes back to 7th place.
And again, that lap by the Aston Martin looks better and better and better.
Just perhaps a little conservative under braking for Maguire's there. But on the top, he was certainly committed. Looked like he wanted to try and just keep it nice and smooth, didn't take too much of the curbs, and that, as you say, Quilsey, that gets the car back in one piece. No work for the team.
So all of a sudden, Ash Walsh and Medicki Stone Motorsport, who are 8th coming into this, can be no worse than 4th.
Outside of row 2? It's at worst.
In a car with 2 factory drivers, you put the young kid in. Patrick Long, you must have a lot of faith in this young kid to not be sweating profusely watching that lap.
Yeah, I just said it's hard work watching one lap. My heart rate's up probably higher than it would be if I was in the car, but no, we have a lot of faith in Matt. He's a great kid to work with. He's obviously full of talent. He's a new member of the Porsche squad as a junior, so we're looking forward to following his future, but eye on the prize for this weekend right now. We're confident for the ice brake car to be up front, at least for a class victory tomorrow, but we're going to try and give the overall as well.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, still to come to challenge Ashley Walsh's time. Tony Vilander in the Ferrari, Chaz Mostert in a BMW, and now Marco Wittmann in a car that has been very competitive all week. This number 60 BMW Team SRM M6.
2-time German DTM champion. It's, I suppose, their version of supercars. Incredible cars over there, and he's the most recent and 2014 champion in that series, brought out by BMW to join Stephen Richards and Mark Winterbottom in the BMW Team SRM car to get a little bit of cloud cover over Mount Panorama now, which might help these last 3 runners, because I think track temperature has played a massive role in determining the way that this shootout was played out. So this might work to the advantage of the last 3 cars to come.
He's not hanging it all out, Graham. It was an okay run round Virgin Australia turn 1, but he's keeping it off the walls and in the middle of the road as he heads up through the Audi curve.
As Brazil was saying earlier, it's a high-risk track, and the neat and tidy laps sometimes come out to be the better ones. This BMW M6 GT3, big power from this twin-turbocharged car, and this is another of the cars that is making its debut here at the Bathurst 12 Hour.
Just a 10th off in the first split. That's the closest anyone's got So I reckon that little bit of cloud cover is going to help the cause, and the BMWs are really competitive across the top of Mount Panorama. Part of the appeal of GT3 racing is that the cars produce their speed in different areas of the racetrack, and where the Nissan might be great down Conrod Straight, the BMW and the Audi in particular great across the top. Out of the second split now, and he's up, and he's found a good chunk of time. Very good lap so far from the young German.
Well, half a second is by no means a small amount. It sounds it, but over here, that is an age. We've got the whole field pretty much split by that as we stand at the moment. Now he's got to be clean down through the last third of the course. It looks deceptively easy when you look at it, and again you can be suckered into it thinking you've done the hard work, but the braking area for the final corner in particular can lose you 2 or 3 tenths, and that might be just enough to keep him in the lead. Dives down into the right-hander, into the left-hander for the final time, comes across the start-finish line, and a 2 or 3-2, and he's held on to that half-second advantage that he got, that he earned, that he absolutely chiselled out going over the top of the mountain.
Yeah, really good lap from Marco Whitman. So that car takes provisional pole, and finally the Medici Stone Motorsport Aston Martin bumped from the top spot. But what a terrific performance by that man, middle of shot, Ash Walsh. So they can start no worse than 4th place. It took, at the moment, a 2-time German touring car champion to bump them from the top spot. But full credit to BMW, they've put a lot of energy and resources into this race, and in the early stages at least, it looks like it's paying off.
Well, Frosty, watching that down here in the pits, huge middle sector.
Yeah, really good, and the clouds have just covered the sun a little bit, which at home you probably don't see, but I think these last couple of runs from the other guys, it's going to be pretty tight, but yeah, committed. He had a big crack there, and yeah, big second sector. But you're kind of in 2 minds. I've now got my other buddy going out in Chaz to have a lap. So good for BMW guys, and yeah, we're up there, which is a good sign.
Just on the subject of Chaz, the teams here this weekend have access to tyre warming ovens, which they keep out the back. But the Mark team brought their oven into the garage to put those tyres on. The only team to do that for the shootout. Could get a few people talking.
Could indeed. Now, I wonder if there's a slight advantage with Chaz Mostert and the Mark Cars Australia, the 90 BMW, having seen how the last car approached it, because I thought it was a relatively conservative run. He wasn't all over the curb. He was taking his time. It's very hot out there. Maybe that saves the tyres for over the top and down the final third. I mean, it's a theory. Does it affect how these guys, and in particular Chaz Mostert, attacks the one lap that he's got to make his mark in the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout?
It might weigh on the mind of the 24-year-old Queenslander, Pro Drive Racing Australia driver, Bathurst winner. Man, this guy's good. Conservative and Chaz Mostert often not used in the same sentences, it must be said. He's one of the most exciting young natural talents to watch in Australia motor racing at the moment. And this is a very interesting car. He's got young Queenslander Morgan Haber and Max Twig, the Victorian, alongside him this weekend. And this team, their whole modus operandi is getting to hour 8. If they think they can get there and they're on the lead lap tomorrow afternoon, they feel like they're as good a shot as anybody else.
And they've seen that all the way through the week so far, guys. And what we've got, this could really come down to one thing. 2 cars, 2 drivers, 1 Aussie superstar, 1 world superstar, both gunning for pole. Who's going to get it? Is it going to be the guy who knows the car best? Is it going to be the guy that knows the track best? We'll know in about 5 minutes, John.
Amazing change in the body language of the car as it came out of the Audi cutting, from being smooth and drifting the car. Now all of a sudden the car is getting punting. It's moving around, it's bouncing, it's fighting against the mountain, and the driver is pushing it to try and find the grip. It's come to life in the middle sector again, Trailsy.
Yeah, man, this car's got a front end and it's got a big rear end there, had a big slide in the change of direction just before the dipper to place Chaz Mostert knows well. Down towards the Bentley Forest Elbow, top of Conrod Straight. It's been a good lap. He was up at the first split, he's up at the second. All that work through the middle sector of the lap has paid off for Chaz Mostert. He's 0.2 of a second quicker than his BMW driving rival.
And that was in the first sector he got that, but he was even quicker across the top than the BMW of Marco Whitman that we've just seen. This is a cracking lap that he's putting together here, and we might be seeing something under 2 minutes 3.
It was the quickest middle sector of the shootout so far. He's coming down now towards the line. This looks very much like a pole up to me. He's got that tricky final turn to negotiate, and a minor mistake actually started the lap. What's he going to do this time?
2:03.249 to beat is the time. Mostert a little bit wide on the final corner. Goes to the top for Mark GT. Great lap. He found a 10th and a half over 6.2 Ks, and Mostert goes to provisional pole. Really good lap.
Very impressive. Managed to hold on to the advantage, most of the advantage that he gained in that. It was sort of the end of Sector 1 and through Sector 2. The car just looked completely different, and clearly the attack mode switch had been pulled for Chaz Mostert.
Max Twig with me, just checking on the phone to make sure it is right, but that was good. Shouldn't have expected anything else from Chaz Mostert.
Mate, he's been hot all weekend, mate. He hasn't had a great deal of time in the car, but every time he hops in it, he just fine-tunes it that little better and makes it work well, you know, and he's got it working, it's right in the sweet spot.
Big boost for the team, a lot of high-fiving here. There's a good vibe in this garage.
Mate, this is a great team. Everyone's motivated and got a collective goal. So and Chaz has just put it all together. Then we've had a lot of meetings about the car setup and strategy, and I've got a great feeling about tomorrow.
Excited about tomorrow?
As long as they don't get me to start, I'll be super happy.
Hey, well done.
Thank you very much. Cheers, mate.
Okay, so they're either pole position or they're outside of the front row. The really tough part for Mark Carr's Australia and the BMW team is they have done their bit now, and they can't influence which side of the grid they will start in the early morning tomorrow for the 2017 Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 hours.
Good news for them is they're top of timing and scoring right now. The bad news is the prancing horse has been let out of the stable, and it's got a Finnish rider. Tony Villander, storied career for this man, twice FIGT champion, twice Le Mans winner in the GT class, and he's about to do 2 of the most important minutes of driving of his career.
Sun's come out again, Crailsey. This might not be what Villander wanted to see.
Having said that, no one got near them early on today. He was electrifying in qualifying that set the shootout into the low 2-minute 2s, admittedly in cooler conditions. So this 36-year-old Finnish ace, he's a factory Ferrari driver, as Graham said. He's from Kankapää, which is near Helsinki, not too far in the southeastern corner of Finland. But he's raced all the way around the world, a lot of time racing for AF Corsa, and he is a magnificent driver. We should mention his teammates this weekend, Craig Lowndes and Jamie Whincup.
Not a bad couple of drivers there. Now listen for the short shift. There he is. And another gear change. Again, quite in control over the top of the mountain.
He's up, 10th of a second, but he's faster than anybody in the first split.
I thought he looked very good round Griffin Bend, and that helps you up the hill, of course. No hint of a lift there, and just grazes the curb on the outside. Now get the braking point right. Down through the gearbox to third. Down again to second. Gather the car back up again. Up to third. Snatch fourth gear. And then you're getting the car straight. A little bit of a lock up as he was coming down over the top towards the Bentley Forest Elbow.
Neat, tidy, accurate, but slightly slower now. There's less than a 10th of a second in it between Tony Villander and Chaz Mostert, all down to how the Ferrari 488 twin-turbo V8 power handles Conrod Straight, the Caltex chase and Maguire's turn. Great lap so far, but there's absolutely nothing in this.
Totally flat through that. How late does he brake? Oh, that late! And look how cool, calm and collected he is behind the wheel. Just a little bit of a correction as he came out of the chase under the Liqui-Moly bridge. He's now only got Maguire's to go. The front of the car dives down under heavy braking. Had to have 2 little goes at it. Has that got him the half a tenth that he needs? Yes! He's stolen it at the very last. 203.055, and the first ever Pirelli Top 10 Shootout goes to Maranello Motorsports. 202.861, the time for the winning car for that Alan Simonson Trophy, and the only car in the 202s.
And it's their second pole position in the 12-hour, but their first since the passing of the late Alan Simonson, who drove for this team and for whom the pole trophy is named after. For Mark Coffey and the team, this will be an emotional moment down there at the end of pit lane. Terrific lap from Villander, really smooth and controlled, and he was down a little bit coming out of the elbow, but made it up with great braking in the chase in the final turn. What a great lap.
And Craig Lance, the last time you were here at the mountain, that ended up in a win. This time you're starting it off the pole position. I can see the emotion in your face. What was it like watching that lap?
Yeah, pretty intense. Like, you know, it was a hot day, and obviously looking at the times, we thought the track might have gone off, but Tony did a great job. He's, you know, he knows the car so well, and Jamie and I are just, you know, trying to support him as much as the team. And, you know, we were obviously here a couple of years ago for Alan Simonson, and then, of course, we're sort of very fond memories again this weekend. But great way to start, see what the race brings.
What does it mean to the team to bring that trophy home?
Oh, look, yeah, these guys are obviously very emotional about it, and you know, you can see by the reaction that you know, it was really tight. Obviously, the first sector went well, the second sector was on the line, and then Tony pulled something out in that last bit. So yeah, it's a great start. Obviously, long day tomorrow, but look, it is really emotional and very proud. We've done stage 1, now we've got to do stage 2.
Yeah, good luck in stage 2.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, Chaz Mostert, congratulations, front row of the grid for tomorrow, and a great lap. Good one.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome to start the front row here for my you know, first time in a GT3 car racing it. So it's very excited. The lap felt pretty good. I didn't have much left on the table. So good job to the Ferrari boys down there. They did an awesome lap. So looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully we can get our little team up the pointy end tomorrow and have a smooth race.
A lot of talk about the conditions and the heat today. Did it affect the lap much?
You know, definitely from that lunchtime, you think lunchtime's going to be the hottest time of the day, but the afternoon, the track temp was through the roof. So I think the guys that went at the start of the 10 were probably a bit disadvantaged, where you know, the last 3 or 4 cars, the track temp started to come down with a bit of cloud cover. So I was lucky that we did a good enough job in the qualifying session.
A great result. You'll sleep well tonight?
Yeah, I'll sleep really good. So yeah, no, we'll see how we go. We'll get the car fixed, hopefully get the boys to bed early, and come here and have a red hot crack tomorrow.
Have you worked out who'll start tomorrow?
That's a great question. I'll leave that up to Murray and the whole engineering group, so we'll see how we go.
Right, let us know when you know.
Okay.
Thanks, Jess.
Oh, the Alan Simonson Trophy comes home. No other way to say it. And the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout for the first time here on the mountain has provided plenty of action, excitement, and an emotional result. I think I saw there, Graham, Hector Lester in the green polo shirt behind the man who brought Alan Simonson into the British GT champ.
He did, and effectively brought Alan's career forward another notch. Hector, I could see, was in tears there, and I can quite understand that. Hector Lester, a big part of the Alan Simonson story, but this continues that legacy, and what a great lap that was, and what a splendid piece of machinery, that Ferrari 488. Another car, let's not forget, making its Bathurst 12-hour debut here.
Good point, they missed the old car last year. Yeah.
It's the only one in the field too, so not a bad debut. The only one, and it's on pole position. Wow.
There's Hector there on the right-hand side with the red hat and the green polo shirt. Well, here's how they finished, Curlsy, and what a run for our first ever Pirelli Top 10 Shootout.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Think we'll do this again next year. So Ferrari on top, Tony Verlander 2:02.86, away off the record, but the hot conditions put paid to that. Nevertheless, a thrilling shootout. Just a 1/10 of a second between himself and Chaz Mostert. It's BMW second and third. The Aston Martin, the big improver, they were 8th going in. They come out in 4th. Then the Bentley starts from P5. That's a personal best for that car at Mount Panorama. The defending champs go from 6th place. So much to love about the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout.
All right, now, remember back a few years ago when we watched Alan Simonson pedaling a very similar Ferrari. Here's the pole lap that took his trophy this year, the Alan Simonson pole position trophy. Looked very neat and tidy into the first corner, the Virgin Australia corner. Not too much of the outside curb, that's key. For me, where I really thought that he made up a lot of time in the first sector was coming over the top here into Griffin's, the Griffin's Bend, the first of the right-handers as you head up the hill. This is the bit you're waiting, look for your braking point. There it is. Take as much momentum as you can, but you can't get on the throttle early. Be patient. Didn't ride the curb too much on the outside. That was neat and tidy, and that's a 1/10 of a second.
We've been talking about the strengths and weaknesses of these cars all weekend, but the Ferrari's just good everywhere. It's got good aero across the top. It's got good straight line speed. It's got really good brake and turn. It looks like it gets into the corners really well. And when you've got this guy driving, it's tremendous. So they're flat from here all the way across to Skyline. Metal grate. Slight little hesitation there from Verlander. Then 5th gear.
No lift.
No, easy flat through McPhillamy, and then they dive off Skyline.
I'd like to see you do that. then it's all about getting your braking right. The car doesn't want to go where you want to put it here because all of the cambers are in the wrong place. You're changing direction, changing gear, trying to get into the right place on the road, and got to be neat here and got to be straight, and he was. Down through the gearbox, goes for the early turn in, but that means he picks up the throttle early going onto Conrad.
His middle sector wasn't the most special of his lap. I reckon he made up a lot of time down here, breaking into the chase. Tony's been really strong there all weekend long. The Ferrari with its aero stops really well.
Got out of the elbow really well as well, Krilsey, and he's fast here. Is he flat? Oh, yeah.
And stomp on the brake at about 80 metres. That's from 278 kilometres an hour on that lap. So really good braking and great corner exit, and then he was really accurate and sharp down here into Maguire's turn. Get the car turned in, you can see the rear dancing around, but really smooth application on the steering across the line. That was all 202.861, and it was enough to grab the Pirelli Top 10 Shootout in the Alan Simonson Pole Awards.
And there is the trophy. It looks absolutely magnificent. A special moment for Maranello Motorsport because Alan did drive for this team and set lap records here. Tony Villander, you're the man who brings that trophy home to Maranello. Talk us through that lap.
No, the conditions were quite difficult. The track temp is really high. We were looking for the right pressure, the right things on the car all the time, knowing these temperatures, and it's also a key point to the race. So I'm really happy the car is working well in the morning and also in the hot afternoon weather. I need to thank these guys also. It's an honor to race with these legends, big stars here. So all the people asking their autographs, and I'm left alone in the background. So,
what do you think about our top 10 shootout idea?
No, it's awesome. It's good. It's good to have visibility for the sport, get the crowd excited. Tomorrow is a long race, but also today was something interesting. So I could see crowd cheering there. So it's pretty nice.
What a team this is. Tony Villander, Craig Lowndes, Jamie Whincup, and now the trophy coming in, the Alan Simons pole position trophy from Ernesto Garcia Domingo, the business motorsport director, and it goes to Maranello. The Ferrari guys are on pole, but you think back 12 months ago, they only lasted 2 corners. 12 hours tomorrow, boys, is what matters.
So everybody rests up now and gets set for tomorrow. Almost 13 hours of live coverage coming your way on 7 Mate from 5:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Don't miss a minute. It is going to be a spectacular day. Qualifying in the top 10 shootout is just to whet your appetite for what's coming up tomorrow. Hope you can join us once again tomorrow. As I said, going to be a fantastic day. On behalf of all our team at Mount Panorama, we'll see you tomorrow.